Picture this. It's Sunday evening. Your stomach is already in knots thinking about Monday morning. You've been at your job for 3 years, maybe 5, maybe 10. You're good at it. You're reliable. Your boss trusts you. But here's the thing. You can't remember the last time you felt truly alive. When someone asks you, "How's work?" you give the standard response, "It's fine, pays the bills." But inside there's this voice getting louder every single day, whispering, "Is this really all there is?" If that resonates with you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. Today, we're diving deep into a revolutionary concept that challenges everything we've been taught about careers, success, and what it means to live a meaningful life. This is the complete summary of how to prioritize personal growth over your job. And by the end of this video, you'll have a completely different perspective on the relationship between your work and your worth. Let's get into it. Section 1. The Great Misconception. Let me start with a story that might sound familiar. Meet Sarah. She's 32, works at a prestigious marketing firm in New York, makes 6 figures, and from the outside, she's crushing it. Her LinkedIn profile is impressive, her parents are proud, her friends are a little envious. But Sarah has a secret. Every night, she comes home and stares at the canvas she bought 2 years ago. It's still blank. She used to paint. In college, her art professor told her she had real talent, that she could make something of it. But after graduation, she took the sensible path. Marketing paid better than art ever could, right? Now, she's an expert at campaigns for products she doesn't care about, and that blank canvas mocks her every single day. Here's what the book reveals. We've been sold a massive lie. The lie is that your job is your identity, that career success equals life success, that if you're climbing the corporate ladder, you're automatically growing as a person. But here's the kicker. Your job is what you do. Personal growth is who you become. Think about it. You can spend 40 years becoming the world's best accountant and still be emotionally stunted, creatively empty, and spiritually bankrupt. I'm not saying accounting is bad. I'm saying that being good at your job doesn't automatically make you a well-developed human being. The book argues that we've confused professional development with personal development. Professional development is learning new software, getting certifications, attending conferences. Personal development is understanding your emotions, expanding your consciousness, discovering your values, and becoming the fullest expression of who you're meant to be. And here's the kicker. Most jobs actively prevent personal growth, not intentionally, but through sheer consumption of time, energy, and mental bandwidth. When you're giving 60 hours a week to your company, when you're thinking about work during dinner, when you're stressed about quarterly targets in your dreams, when exactly are you supposed to grow as a person? Section 2. The Cost of Choosing Wrong. Let's talk about what happens when you get this wrong. Because it's not just about feeling unfulfilled. The consequences are way more serious than that. The book outlines what it calls the 5 hidden costs of job-centric living. Cost number 1, identity erosion. When your job becomes your identity, you become fragile. I saw this firsthand with my Uncle David. He was a VP at a Fortune 500 company for 23 years. Then, at 54, he got laid off during a restructuring. And he fell apart, not just financially, emotionally. He didn't know who he was without that title, without that office, without that email signature. It took him 2 years of therapy to realize he'd spent decades building someone else's dream, while his own identity withered away. Cost number 2, skill stagnation. Here's something wild. The book argues that staying too long in one job can make you less employable, not more. You become hyper-specialized in skills that only matter to that one company, in that one role, in that one industry. Meanwhile, your creative thinking atrophies. Your curiosity dies. You stop learning things just because they're interesting. Everything has to have immediate ROI for your current position. Cost number 3, relationship decay. How many marriages have crumbled because someone was married to their job? How many kids grew up with an emotionally absent parent who was physically present but mentally still in the office? The book shares a heartbreaking statistic. 67% of people surveyed said they would spend more time with loved ones if they could redo their lives, but they can't. Time doesn't come back. Cost number 4, health deterioration. Chronic stress from job pressure doesn't just make you tired, it destroys your body. Cortisol floods your system, your sleep quality tanks, your immune system weakens. The book cites research showing that people who prioritize career over well-being have 3 times the rate of cardiovascular disease. Your body is literally telling you to prioritize differently, but we ignore the signals because we have to pay the bills. Cost number 5, dream death. This is the saddest one. Remember Sarah and her blank canvas? Multiply that by millions. There's a cemetery of dreams inside people who chose safety over growth. The novel that never got written, the business that never got started, the adventure that never got taken, the person you were meant to become who never got the chance to emerge. Here's a powerful quote from the book. You will never be on your deathbed wishing you'd spent more time at the office, but you might die full of regret for the person you never allowed yourself to become. Section 3. The Mindset Shift. Okay, so if that all sounds depressing, here's the good news. There's another way, and it starts with a fundamental mind shift. The book introduces what it calls the growth-first philosophy. It's built on 3 core principles. Principle 1, your job serves your life, not the other way around. This is radical for a lot of people. We're taught that everything else, relationships, hobbies, health, passions, should fit around our careers. The growth-first philosophy flips it. Your career is a tool for funding and enabling the life you actually want to live. It's not the destination. It's the vehicle. Let me give you a real example. There's a story in the book about Marcus, a software engineer. For years, he worked 80-hour weeks at a startup, convinced he was building his future. Then the company got acquired. He got a nice payout, but realized he'd spent 3 years barely seeing his kids grow up. So he made a radical choice. He took a lower-paying job with strict 40-hour weeks. At first, his ego took a hit. People asked if he was stepping down. But here's what happened. With those extra hours, he learned carpentry. He started building furniture with his kids. He got in the best shape of his life. He wrote a blog about parenting in tech that now has 100,000 followers. He didn't become less successful, he became more successful, just in ways that actually mattered. Principle 2. Growth is multidimensional. Your job probably lets you grow in 1, maybe 2 dimensions, technical skills and maybe leadership. But humans are multidimensional beings. We need creative growth, emotional growth, physical growth, spiritual growth, relational growth, intellectual growth. The book argues that a rich life requires development in at least 5 dimensions simultaneously. Think of it like a video game character. If you only level up 1 stat and ignore the others, you become weirdly unbalanced and ineffective. Same with humans. Principle 3. You're building a person, not a resume. Here's a question. If you took away your job title, your salary, your credentials, who are you? What's interesting about you? What can you do? What have you experienced? The book challenges you to see yourself as a lifelong project of becoming. Every year, you should be more capable, more aware, more skilled, more interesting, and more you than the year before. And that rarely happens when 90% of your development energy goes to job performance. The shift is from asking, how can I advance my career, to how can I advance as a human being? When you make that your primary question, everything changes.
Section 4. The Practical Framework. All right, enough philosophy, let's talk tactics. How do you actually do this? The book provides a step-by-step framework called the Life First System. I'm going to walk you through it. Step 1, the 168-hour audit. There are 168 hours in a week. The book asks you to track every single hour for 1 week. Where does your time actually go? Most people are shocked. They think they work 50 hours. Turns out it's 65 when you count email at night and weekend work. They think they spend quality time with family. Turns out it's 45 minutes a day, and half of that is distracted phone scrolling. You can't change what you don't measure. Do this audit. Be ruthlessly honest. You might not like what you see, but it's the truth you need. Step 2. Define your growth domains. The book recommends identifying 5 to 7 areas where you want to grow. These might include physical fitness, creative expression, emotional intelligence, spiritual practice, skill acquisition, relationship depth, intellectual expansion, financial literacy, or adventure experience collection. For each domain, you define what growth looks like. Be specific, not get healthier, but run a 5K by June and cook 4 healthy meals a week. Not be more creative, but complete 1 painting per month and take an improv class. Step 3, the 20% rule. Here's the magic number, 20%. The book argues that dedicating 20% of your waking hours to intentional personal growth is the tipping point. That's about 3 hours per day or 20 hours per week. Now, before you panic, this includes things you might already do. Reading counts. Exercise counts. Meaningful conversations count. Creative projects count. The key word is intentional. Scrolling social media doesn't count. Netflix binges don't count. Those are recovery, not growth. Most people give 70% of their time to work and work-related stress, 20% to basic life maintenance, and maybe 10% to actual growth. The book advocates for flipping it, 40% to work, 40% to life maintenance and relationships, and 20% to growth. Step 4, the job negotiation. This is where it gets real. You need to have an honest conversation with your employer or with yourself if you're self-employed. The book provides scripts for this. Example, I love working here and I'm committed to delivering excellent results. However, I'm also committed to my personal development. I need to establish clearer boundaries around my time. I propose that I work specific hours and be fully present during that time, delivering specific results, but I won't be available outside those hours except for genuine emergencies. How can we make this work? Some employers will say no. That's valuable information. It tells you they don't see you as a full human being. That's not a place to build your life. Many employers will say yes, especially if you frame it around performance. The book cites research showing that people with rich lives outside work are actually more productive during work hours because they're energized, not drained. Step 5, the growth calendar. This is non-negotiable. You schedule your growth time like you schedule meetings. It goes in the calendar first, and work fits around it. Monday evenings are for your art class. Saturday mornings are for your long run. Wednesday afternoons are for your writing project. These aren't optional. They're appointments with the most important person in your life, your future self. Step 6, the quarterly review. Every 90 days you assess. In which domains did you grow? What new capabilities do you have? What experiences did you collect? Who are you becoming? What needs to change? This keeps you accountable. It's easy to slide back into old patterns. The quarterly review is your guardrail. Let me give you a real success story from the book. There's a woman named Jennifer who was a lawyer at a big firm.
She was miserable but golden handcuffed by her salary. She implemented the system. She negotiated to go part-time, taking a 40% pay cut but getting 3 days back. With that time, she started a coaching practice, trained for a triathlon, learned Spanish, and rekindled her marriage. Within 2 years, her coaching income matched her legal income. But more importantly, she said she felt alive again. She was growing in every direction, not just professionally. And ironically, because she was happier and healthier, she became better at law too. It wasn't either or, it was both and. But in the right priority order. Section 5. Overcoming the obstacles. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great in theory, but I can't afford to work less. Or my boss would never go for this. Or maybe later, when things are less crazy. The book addresses every major objection. Let me hit the big ones. Objection 1. I can't afford it. The book challenges this directly. Can you afford not to? What's the cost of your current path? How much would you pay to get your health back, your marriage, your lost years? The book argues that most financial needs are actually lifestyle choices that we've convinced ourselves are mandatory. There's a powerful exercise. Calculate your freedom number, the minimum you need to live a good life, not an impressive life. For most people, it's 30 to 50% less than they currently make, which means they could work less, earn less, and live better. Objection 2. My industry doesn't allow it. The book is blunt here. Then leave your industry. If the only way to succeed in your field is to sacrifice your humanity, that's not a field worth succeeding in. There are thousands of career paths. Find one that treats you like a full human. Or pioneer the change. Someone has to be first. The book tells stories of people who reshaped their industry norms by refusing to accept that's just how it is. Objection 3. I'm too far along to change. This is the saddest objection because it's a prison of your own making. The book shares a quote. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. You're not too old. You're not too established. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to start. Objection 4. What will people think? The ego's favorite weapon. Here's the hard truth. People will judge you no matter what you do. If you prioritize work, some will call you a workaholic with no life. If you prioritize growth, some will call you unambitious or lazy. You cannot win the judgment game, so stop playing. The book asks, would you rather be judged by people who don't matter or live with your own regret? That's the real choice. The fear behind the objections. But here's what's really going on beneath all these objections. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of losing status. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of discovering that even with more time and freedom, you still might not be happy. The book doesn't dismiss these fears. It says to acknowledge them, then act anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more than the fear. And here's what usually happens. When you start prioritizing growth, your fear decreases because you're actively building capability, confidence, and resilience. You become someone who can handle whatever comes. That's real security, not job security, but self-security. Let me paint you a picture of what life looks like on the other side of this shift. Imagine waking up on Monday morning without dread. You're still going to work, but work is one part of a rich life, not the whole thing. You know that after your focused 8-hour workday, you have your pottery class. Tomorrow evening, you're rock climbing with friends. This weekend, you're facilitating the workshop you designed. Your energy is higher because you're living multidimensionally. At work, you're actually more effective. You're not trying to extract identity and meaning from your job, so you're not as emotionally reactive to workplace drama. A project failure doesn't destroy you because you're so much more than that project. Paradoxically, you might even start performing better and getting promoted. But now, it doesn't define your worth. Your relationships deepen. You have the mental space and emotional energy to actually be present. Your partner notices, your kids notice, your friends notice. You're not the person who's always distracted, always stressed, always talking about work. Your body transforms. You have time to exercise, to cook real food, to sleep properly. You look in the mirror and see vitality instead of exhaustion. Your mind expands. You're learning things just because they're fascinating. You're having ideas again. You're curious about the world. That brain fog from chronic stress clears. And here's the beautiful part. You start to become interesting again. You have things to talk about. You have projects you're excited about. You have experiences to share. You're not just a job title. You're a multifaceted human being with depth. The book ends with this powerful reminder. You get one life, not a dress rehearsal, not a rough draft, one life. And the question isn't whether you'll be successful at your job. The question is whether you'll become the person you're capable of becoming. Those are very different questions with very different answers. Remember Sarah from the beginning? Here's the rest of her story. She implemented this framework. She negotiated to go remote, which gave her back 3 hours a day from commuting. She used 1 hour for painting, 1 hour for yoga, and 1 hour for a passion project teaching art to underprivileged kids. Within a year, her paintings were in a local gallery. Within 2 years, she'd built a side business selling her art that matched her marketing salary. But she didn't quit marketing immediately. She didn't have to. She'd already won because she was growing in every direction. Last I heard, she's now an art instructor 3 days a week and does marketing consulting 2 days a week. She makes about the same money, but works on her terms. More importantly, she's alive. That blank canvas, it's long gone, replaced by hundreds of completed pieces and thousands of hours of creative flow. So here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop letting your job consume the person you could become. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow, but you do have to start prioritizing differently today. Do the 168-hour audit this week. Define your growth domains. Schedule just 3 hours this week for intentional growth. Just 3. See what happens. See how you feel. See who starts to emerge. Because here's the truth. Your company will replace you within weeks if you leave. But you can't be replaced. You're the only you that will ever exist. Don't waste that. If this video resonated with you, smash that like button. Subscribe if you want more content about living intentionally in a world that wants you to live on autopilot. Drop a comment telling me, what's one domain you're going to start growing in this week? I read every comment, and I'm genuinely curious. Remember, you're not here to build someone else's dream. You're here to become who you're meant to be. Your job is just the tool. Use it wisely, but don't worship it. Now go, grow, become. I'll see you in the next one.